The Secret Garden's Promise. Mr. Thatcher's gnarled hands moved with surprising gentleness as he pruned the rosebush. The morning sun cast a warm glow over his meticulously tended garden, highlighting the vibrant colors of daffodils, lavender, and the cherry blossom tree in full bloom. It was a sight that never failed to bring a smile to his weathered face, even on the toughest of days. And today promised to be one of those days. The sound of angry voices and slamming car doors broke the peaceful silence. Mr. Thatcher sighed, setting down his pruning shears and turning towards the commotion. A police cruiser had pulled up in front of the house next door, and a sullen teenage boy was being marched up the driveway by a weary-looking officer. "I'm warning you, Jake," the officer was saying. "One more incident, and it won't be just a warning." The boy, Jake, yanked his arm free. "Whatever," he muttered, stomping into the house and slamming the door behind him. Mr. Thatcher shook his head sadly. He'd watched Jake grow up over the years, had seen the bright, curious child slowly transform into an angry, troubled teenager. Ever since Jake's father had left 2 years ago, things had been spiraling downward. As the police cruiser pulled away, Mr. Thatcher made a decision. Picking up a basket, he began carefully selecting flowers. A few daffodils, some sprigs of lavender, a couple of perfect roses. Then, with a deep breath, he made his way next door. Jake's mother, Sarah, answered his knock. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her hair disheveled. "Oh, Mr. Thatcher," she said, forcing a smile. "Is everything all right?" "Just fine, dear," he replied warmly. "I brought you some flowers from my garden, and I was wondering if I might have a word with Jake." Sarah's eyebrows rose in surprise, but she nodded, stepping aside to let him in. "He's in his room. I doubt he'll want to talk, but you're welcome to try." Mr. Thatcher made his way up the stairs, his joints protesting with each step. At Jake's door, he knocked softly. "Go away, Mom," came the muffled response. "It's not your mother, son. It's Mr. Thatcher from next door. May I come in?" There was a long pause, then a grudging, "Whatever." Mr. Thatcher entered to find Jake sprawled on his bed, glaring at the ceiling. The room was a mess of discarded clothes, crumpled papers, and overturned furniture. "Redecorating?" Mr. Thatcher asked mildly. Jake snorted. "What do you want, old man?" "I have a proposition for you," Mr. Thatcher said, settling himself in Jake's desk chair. "I need help in my garden. It's getting harder for these old bones to keep up with all the work. I'm willing to pay, of course." Jake sat up, suspicion written across his face. "Why me? I don't know anything about gardening." "Perhaps not," Mr. Thatcher agreed. "But you're strong, you're available, and I think you might find you have a talent for it. What do you say? Give it a week, and if you hate it, no hard feelings." Jake was quiet for a long moment, his eyes darting between Mr. Thatcher and the window, beyond which lay the colorful garden. Finally, he shrugged. "Fine. Whatever. It's not like I have anything better to do." And so began an unlikely partnership. At first, Jake was sullen and careless, more likely to trample flowers than tend them. But Mr. Thatcher was patient, gently guiding the boy's hands, teaching him the names of plants and the secrets of helping them thrive. As the days passed, Jake found himself becoming invested despite himself. There was something satisfying about planting a seed and watching it grow, about coaxing a wilting plant back to health. And Mr. Thatcher, he discovered, was a wealth of not just gardening knowledge, but life wisdom as well. "You see this rose bush?" Mr. Thatcher said one day as they worked side by side. "It was nearly dead when I got it. Previous owner thought it was beyond saving. But with care, patience, and the right environment, look at it now." Jake ran a finger over a velvet-soft petal. "It's beautiful," he admitted. Mr. Thatcher nodded. "People are a lot like plants, Jake. They need nurturing, patience, and sometimes a second chance to bloom." As spring turned to summer, the garden flourished under their combined care, and so did Jake. The angry outbursts became less frequent, replaced by a quiet focus. In the fall, Jake's grades began to improve, and Sarah noticed him smiling more often. One sweltering September afternoon, as they took a break in the shade of the cherry tree, Jake suddenly asked, "Why did you really ask me to help you, Mr. Thatcher? I know it wasn't just because you needed the help." Mr. Thatcher was quiet for a moment, his eyes distant. "When I was about your age," he began, "I was a lot like you. Angry at the world, always in trouble. Then one day, I vandalized old Mrs. Pendleton's garden. Instead of pressing charges, she made me work for her all summer to pay for the damage." He smiled at the memory. That garden saved me, Jake. It taught me patience, responsibility, the satisfaction of creating something beautiful. When I saw you struggling, I thought perhaps it could do the same for you. Jake nodded slowly, a lump forming in his throat. Thank you, he whispered. As autumn advanced, the garden prepared for its winter sleep. But for Jake, it felt like a new spring. He had discovered a passion for botany and was talking about studying horticulture in college. The angry, troubled boy was blossoming into a thoughtful young man with purpose and direction. On a crisp October morning, Jake arrived at Mr. Thatcher's to find the old man sitting on his porch, a contented smile on his face. Ah, Jake, he said warmly. I was hoping you'd come by. I have something for you. He handed Jake an envelope. Inside was a deed to the half of the garden adjacent to Jake's mother's house. I'm moving to Florida to live with my daughter, Mr. Thatcher explained. I want you to have this place. Promise me you'll keep the garden alive and pass on its lessons to someone who needs them someday. Tears welled in Jake's eyes as he embraced the old man who had become like a grandfather to him. I promise, he said fiercely. Years later, Jake stood in that same garden, now a respected botanist and mentor. Beside him was a troubled young girl, her eyes wide as she took in the riot of colors and scents around her. You see that rose bush? Jake began, a smile playing on his lips. Let me tell you a story about second chances and the power of nurturing something beautiful. And so, the secret garden's promise lived on, a legacy of growth, healing, and the transformative power of nature and kindness.